This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, as you probably heard by now, New York City saw its deadliest mass shooting in 25 years last night when 27-year-old Shane Tamura of Nevada parked his BMW, double parked his BMW between 51st and 52nd Street, got out with an M4 rifle, walked purposefully across the courtyard with the M4 by his side toward the 44th floor skyscraper at 345 Park Avenue, gunned down a number of people, including New York City police officer Diderul Islam, 36-year-old, 4-year veteran of the force, a guy with 2 kids, a wife who is 8 months pregnant. There is Diderul Islam of the 47th precinct of the NYPD. He lost his life. He was there working a detail, trying to make some money. He was armed, but Tamura shot first, killed him, and then made his way to the 33rd floor of Rudin Management. He killed 4 people in total. Here's at least some of the descriptions of at least some of the assaults. He gunned down a woman cowering behind a pillar in the lobby as he sprayed more bullets and walked toward the elevator, where he shoots dead a security guard who was crouching at his desk. One more man reports being shot and injured. He's in critical but stable condition. The gunman allows a woman to walk out of the elevator unharmed before heading up to the 33rd floor, where the building owner, Rudin Properties, was located, and begins to walk the floor, firing as he traveled. One man is shot and killed on that floor. He then proceeds to put the rifle to his chest and kill himself, which is a good thing, but he did quite a lot of damage up till that point. And as you're watching this unfold, as I was watching it unfold last night, all the cable news channels covered it. It was online, live. You're thinking, you know what New York needs now? New York needs a Muslim communist mayor who hates the NYPD. That's what they're going to get in November. That's coming in 1, 2, 3, 4 months. A guy who has called for the defunding of police, who's mocked the police as anti-queer fascist, who literally saw a cop or heard about a cop who was in his cruiser crying because of what he saw on the job, because he saw people killed, and he was in his cruiser crying. And Zoran Mamdani, this absolute piece of garbage, who is going to be the next mayor, mocked him and said nature is healing because a grieving cop was weeping in his cruiser. I like to look at the bright side, even in tragic situations like this, and we can only hope the people of New York wake up. Wake up. You cannot elect this man. You cannot have this anti-American, radical, lunatic, cop hater as your next mayor. That won't work. That can't work. I wonder if he's going to go to the funeral. God knows the funeral for Diderul Islam is going to be big. We know cops, particularly NYPD, do it right when they send off one of their own. And I'm sure Eric Adams will be there, and Andrew Cuomo, and all the top brass in the NYPD. Will this scumbag, Zoran Kwame Mamdani, show up? He's such a phony. He was tweeting from Uganda last night about the incident, about the murder of an NYPD officer and 4 innocent people in this building. And he was pretending like he gives a damn. It is truly nauseating that the city of New York will likely elect this man after what we witnessed, after we, I don't know where to go with this. I really don't. It's just so maddening. It's so frustrating. You're going to elect the guy who literally wants to defund the cops at a time when we have this kind of danger, this kind of threat. We're going to get to CNN and their reaction, but I want to go to Eric Adams because Adams did it right. Adams went before the media. He's a former cop. He's got his flaws, that's for sure. But I think the cops respect him and he respects them. He explained this morning. Here are some of the companies that are that have offices that are headquartered in this building. Blackstone, that's a big one. KPMG, accounting firm, lots of big accounting firms, and the National Football League. This is their headquarters. This is where, famously, Dave Portnoy and his crew got arrested because they were protesting Roger Goodell's treatment of Tom Brady. That's the spot. This is the world headquarters of the National Football League, where Roger Goodell has an office. And there was a lot of speculation last night. Was he targeting the NFL? It turns out he was. That was his target. Why? Because he says he has CTE from playing in the NFL. He didn't play in the NFL. He didn't come close to playing in the NFL. He was a high school football player, but he said he got CTE and he blames the NFL. And apparently that was his target. He took the wrong elevator. He couldn't get to the NFL offices. So he ended up at the Rudin management office where he killed an innocent employee and then killed himself. Here is Eric Adams this morning.
Tell us about the apparent suicide note that was in the shooter's pocket.
He alluded to having CTE from playing in the NFL. He never played in the NFL, and he alluded to the CTE being the reason for his illness. It appears as though he was going after the employees at the NFL. The building 345 housed the NFL's company there as well. But we're still going through the suicide note to zero in on the exact reason. But at this time, it appears as though something that is attached to his belief he experienced CTE from playing in the NFL.
And so it appears that this is an individual who drove all the way across the country from Las Vegas, believing he was suffering from this brain disorder known as CTE. He goes to this building where the NFL headquarters are located in some kind of revenge situation. He gets inside. He ends up on the 33rd floor. We know that the NFL offices are on a lower floor. Does it appear he got lost in the building? Was he trying to get there? Did he just go the wrong way? What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, great question. There are two different elevator banks, and as you know, anyone that's in many of our corporate buildings, some banks don't go to every floor. He appeared to have gone to the wrong bank, and he ended up on the floor of Rudin Management. And you see on the videos that he discharged the weapon several times. And we must commend Rudin Management for the safety precautions that they've put in place, even a safe bathroom where you can lock it down with a bulletproof door. Some of the staffers use that. It's unfortunate that during these days and times, active shooter drills are taking place all across the country, and Rudin Management did their job of clearly having those active shooter drills, and the staffers who were in the building were able to utilize some of the safe rooms. And I believe it played a great role in saving lives of some of the staffers. It was after 6 p.m., and so many people were no longer in the office, but he appeared to have gone to the wrong floor and due to the wrong elevator bank, where you could see on the front desk which elevator bank was the NFL, but he did not go to that bank.
It's hard to believe that he's going to be replaced by a guy who hates cops. Again, Eric Adams is a flawed candidate. Democrats have abandoned him because he talked to Trump or talked to Tom Homan about removing illegal alien criminals from the city. He hasn't cooperated, at least not fully, hasn't let them into Rikers. The city council won't allow that, but he knows what a tough job these cops have. He knows how important they are. He's going to be replaced by a guy who wants to get rid of cops and send social workers to crime scenes like this. So as the situation is unfolding, as we get to see that photo, that video of Shane Tamura walking across the courtyard with the rifle in hand, I believe we saw the video. You couldn't see up close exactly what he looked like, but I will give Ironhead credit for once. He said you look at that picture and you know he is anything but white. We don't know what he is, where he's from. We don't know he's from Nevada. We didn't know he drove across the country. We didn't know why he did this. But we knew that one thing pretty clearly. He wasn't white, which is, of course, a great disappointment to the folks at CNN, MSNBC, the mainstream media. They, of course, pivoted to the gun when they couldn't blame white supremacy. The gun is a semi-automatic rifle. It might look scary. It might be a version of a military rifle, but it's not a machine gun. And many people use it for hunting and for protection. It's the most popular rifle, at least in some form. So they immediately talk about the gun because they couldn't talk about the white guy. They did. They tried, damn it. Here is a mug shot of Shane Tamura. That's the guy, both pictures. That's him on the left where he was walking just carelessly, carefree through the courtyard with the gun in his hand. And apparently it's New York City and no one saw anything really unusual at this point. But as the news is breaking and CNN is covering it live, they decided he is possibly white. This is so bizarre. Possibly white? Where does that come from? How do you come to that conclusion? What makes you say this? Aaron Burnett, anchoring the live coverage, said it twice after, I believe, we saw that picture where, again, he is anything but white. Here is CNN.
Showing you here, John's reporting that they do know what he looks like. Male, possibly white, mustache, sunglasses in that building, isolated to, they believe, to various locations, including upper floors is where they're focused.
That guy is possibly white, according to Aaron Burnett. It is amazing. That's your mainstream media, by the way. A mass shooting occurs. The first thing is, let's just hope it's not a person of color. Let's just hope it's not a Muslim fanatic or a person of color. Let's hope it's a white guy. They were trying. They did. And then we get to see the mugshot, and he clearly is an African-American, a 27-year-old security guard in Vegas, where he was, where he had a permit to carry. He had a handgun in his car, in his BMW, which he left in the car. He also had drugs and the suicide note pointing out that his grievance was with the NFL. That's once. Then she says it again. Listen to this.
Offers at any given time.
All right. So, Brian, stay with us. The former deputy director of the FBI, Andy McCabe, is with us as well. And Andy, I just want to ask you talk about a 44-story building, as Brian is reporting. And what John Miller just said, there were a few things that really stood out there. Among them that they do know what he looks like. Sunglasses, mustache, male, possibly white, and that they were already able to identify various parts of the building where they think he is right now.
This is another one of those cases where we can just thank God the shooter. I mean, it brings no comfort to the victims' families at this point, but he could have done so much more damage. This is rush hour, just after rush hour in Midtown Manhattan. In that office building, there had to be thousands of employees in that area, many heading home, leaving at the end of the day. And he shot randomly when he got in the building. But when you think about it, I mean, if he went to Grand Central Station, if he went to Central Park, if he went to friggin' Wendy's, he could have taken out so many more people. We could just be glad that he was not a stable man. It wasn't well thought out. He drove across the country, but he didn't have a great plan, and the damage could have been so much worse. And it's a shame that Derural Islam didn't shoot first, didn't take him out. But you can't help but think, if this guy was smart, if he had a plan, he could have killed wiped out so many more people. But that's no comfort for the victims or the families. And maybe, Mayor Mondami will, maybe he's disappointed. I'm sure he is, because this isn't going to help the campaign for the commie who is likely to be the next mayor. We'll see what his next move is. We'll see if he shows up. Again, he was tweeting from Uganda last night, where he was celebrating his lavish wedding, which included armed guards with masks. And that's kind of how it works for communists. But I want to get some of Mondami's tweets, because this is just offensive. He is offensive. He is disgusting. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame that people are falling for this. I understand there's a lot of liberals. Hell, there's a lot of commies in New York City. But Eric Adams is a liberal. Andrew Cuomo is a liberal. They agree with you on most things. They don't want to seize private property and make the grocery stores owned by the city. Here's just a few of his tweets in the past. We want to defund the police. We don't need an investigation to know that the NYPD is racist, anti-queer, and a major threat to public safety. Queer liberation means defunding the police. That is remarkable. This was a Muslim man who was murdered, a Muslim NYPD officer, 4 years on the force, and a wife who was 8 months pregnant at home. And the guy is calling the NYPD anti-queer, fascist, racist. I mean, I believe half the force, the biggest force in the country, are people of color. But he doesn't care. This works with his base. This is kind of radical he is. Get rid of cops. Good luck with Mondami, the commie, when he returns to New York City, if he even has the guts to return to New York City in the coming days after this incredible tragedy. All right, we got so much to get to. We got a lot of news on a lot of police forces, some of which are hiring illegal aliens. Isn't that great? Giving them guns, illegal aliens. And we have this police chief in Cincinnati, who, of course, is an old lady. Is it me, or does every police chief in the country, an old lady at this point? This is DEI at work. You're not going to believe who police chief, get her name, Terry Thieg of Cincinnati, blames for the beating, not the fight, the beating that occurred over the weekend in downtown Cincinnati, where a mob of dozens of black men and women, mostly women, beat the hell out of three middle-aged white people, including knocking a woman unconscious and celebrating. The police chief reacts to that. It's just amazing. We'll get to it and much more. But first,
Excuse me.
if you've ever searched for your name or address on Google, it's shocking to find how many results have your personal information, and it's not by chance. Data brokers and people search sites, collect your personal information, your name, address, phone number, financial info, income, and hundreds of other records. They sell it and share it publicly without your consent. But Incogni is here to put an end to that. It hunts down these unethical sites and gets your info removed from the places that expose your private information. You don't have to email anyone, fill out forms, or jump through hoops. They handle the entire process for you. Incogni is also continually monitoring if your data is put back into these databases, requesting repeated removals. This way, it keeps them off there forever. So you get fewer spam calls, spam emails, and you get more peace of mind. And best of all, you can cancel anytime, and they offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you can get it completely risk-free. Right now, you get 60% off an annual plan by going to incogni.com and use code word Callahan. That's incogni, incogni.com/Callahan, and use the code word Callahan at checkout. You get 60% off and protect your data for an entire year. Here's the headline from the Cincinnati Enquirer, an update on the vicious beating the mob put on three innocent white individuals after a jazz festival in downtown Cincinnati. The headline, this annoys me so much. 5 suspects charged, 1 911 call from crowd. What we know about the viral Cincinnati fight. they call it. It wasn't a fight. It was a beating. Again, from the Inquirer, police have identified 5 suspects from a violent fight with a crowd of over 100 people. Videos of the fight have made the rounds online and sparked outrage from leaders nationwide. Cincinnati Police Chief Teresa Thiege did not disclose the charges or names of the suspects who are not in custody during an afternoon press conference yesterday, but said anyone involved who caused harm to another person will face consequences. Well, that's good, Chief. So they're going to face consequences for attempting to murder innocent people on camera. Multiple videos of the 3 a.m. fight downtown on July 26 circulated on social media over the weekend, raising concerns about safety amid the city's recent push to reduce crime. In one of the videos, a group of people is seen striking a man until he falls to the ground as they continue to punch and kick him. Shortly after, another man is seen punching a woman in the face, causing her to fall to the ground, where she remained motionless until a person helped pick her back up. She's in the hospital. She got a call from Vivek Ramaswamy, who is likely to be the next governor of Ohio. She said she received no other calls, no other politicians or police chiefs called to check on her, just Vivek Ramaswamy. The issue, obviously, was just this mob violence. They weren't just beating them. They were laughing and celebrating and videotaping, and there were hundreds, over 100, and one person called 911. That pissed off the police chief, understandably, that people were just enjoying it like they were watching, I don't know, a ball game. They were watching, a basketball game, cheering for their side as this woman lay motionless. Everyone's seen the photo. She looks dead. She is not, thankfully. It sure looks to me like attempted murder. What upset the chief? This old lady, Teresa Thiege. I just looked it up. The Cincinnati PD has 1,000 officers, and somehow city leaders decided this woman was the best choice to lead the Cincinnati Police Department. She is she's not happy about this incident, and she knows who to blame. Social media, people who posted videos. I'm sorry, but if there were no videos, we might not know what happened. We might think there was actually a fight. We might think, oh, I don't know, the white guy started it. But we got to see the video. It is so disturbing. It shows a real sickness in this crowd where they are literally kicking the people when they're down, kicking this woman, kicking this guy when they're flat out down on the ground, on the pavement. Police chief said she wants to talk about the social media aspect here and calling out people because the video led people to take the attack out of context. She wants to put it in context. Be ready. They are digging deep. They are searching for a way to blame the victims in this beating. It's coming. And the police chief will play along. I'm just gonna predict that right now. Do we have Police Chief Thiege calling out social media people after this incident? I mean, everyone was upset, disturbed, pissed off after this. I didn't hear a lot of other people say it's the fault of TikTokers who posted the video. I think if I'm a cop, I'm glad people posted. That makes a cop's job a lot easier. They have identified 5 people. What? You couldn't identify the other 95 when you have all those all those clips? I mean, all that evidence? Here's Police Chief Kathy Bates. Go ahead.
Another topic I want to cover real quick. Social media and journalism and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you. Social media, the post that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media and mainstream media and their commentaries are a misrepresentation of the circumstances surrounding any given event. What that does, that causes us some difficulties in thoroughly investigating the activity and enforcing the law. Because what happens, that social media post and your coverage of it distorts the content of what actually happened. And it makes our job more difficult. Go ahead, right here.
Thank you. 2 questions. Where were the nearest officers?
In the central business section. They were working. They were both in vehicles. And like I said, they had to maneuver through the traffic.
My second question is, you had said social media, news media distorted the content of what actually happened. What exactly was distorted? I understand that there was multiple views of the video, but
Good question.
exactly what led up to this? I mean, what was distorted?
Yeah, so I think by the irresponsibility with social media is it just shows one side of the equation quite frequently without context, without factual context. And then people run with that. And then it grows legs and it becomes something bigger that we then have to try to manage as part of the investigation. So hold on.
Social media is doing your job for you, lady. It's amazing. She's upset that they videotaped a vicious beating, a crime, and gave them all that evidence. Do you think they would have even identified 5 suspects if they didn't have all those videos, all those clips that were posted on social media? She should be thanking the people, even the ones who were involved, for being so stupid as to videotape their crimes. Instead, she's blaming them, saying it distorts it, takes it out of context. She's setting them up for an excuse, for a rationale for this beating. And you know what it'll be? They used racially charged language. It's already circulating on social media, by the way, saying the white people use the N-word because that's what they go to when there really is no defense. But here's the bottom line. Even if they did, which they didn't, nobody believes that a white couple would confront a mob of 100 black individuals and use the N-word. That's not believable, but they'll say it. And this old lady will run with it. You watch. She'll say there was some provocative language, some racially charged language. Okay, what if there was? That doesn't mean that they're allowed to beat them to within an inch of their lives. This woman is a disgrace. Honest to God, she should have stood there and said, thankfully, we have lots of video and we're using it to identify all the suspects in this inexcusable, vicious beating, racially motivated beating. Why would you blame social media? Because it makes it harder for you to advance a narrative, which I'm sure she would like to do. I'm sure she's like most of the female chiefs out there. She knows that the whole woke culture, the DEI culture, is the reason she is where she is. So she can't turn on those people. It is amazing. We're at a point where woke is dying. We're going to get to the Sydney Sweeney ad. Woke DEI are dying. Thankfully, thanks to the Trump administration, we're finally exercising this demonic culture where you advance on your sex or who you sleep with or your race or your ethnicity. And we're returning to a merit-based system. That's what America wants. That's what any decent person wants in this country. They no longer want colleges to base admissions on color or race or sexuality. They don't want companies hiring based on race or sexuality. And yet we already have these people installed, these people who are dug in, these wokesters like her. And it's a problem. And it's going to be a long time before we can completely cut out this cancer. We got an even better example. Let's go to Old Orchard Beach, Maine. Yes, Old Orchard Beach, kind of a honky-tonk town on the Maine coast with a good little amusement park, roller coasters, Ferris wheels, fried dough, a couple of honky-tonk bars. Their police force is busy in the summer. There used to be a lot of Canadians there all summer, mostly Canadians. I'm not sure they all showed up this year. But you know what we learned yesterday? That they don't just have an illegal alien problem in Maine, and they do, believe me. It's been well chronicled by our friends at the Maine Wire. The city of Lewiston has been overrun with Somali immigrants. It's an issue. Hell, they have these illegal marijuana grow farms, which are run by Chinese nationals. You want to learn more about that? Listen to Steve Robinson's interview with Tucker Carlson. It is so just disturbing what's going on in Maine right now. Well, we found out yesterday that the city of Old Orchard hired and handed a gun to an illegal alien. There he is. He is on the Old Orchard Beach police force. John Luke Evans, an illegal alien from Jamaica, hired as a police officer and given a sidearm. So there are people out there in Old Orchard Beach who've been arrested, who've been cited, given tickets by an illegal alien. That is just mind-blowing. That's how bad it's gotten. That's where we are right now. We have police officers who are criminals, who are in the country illegally. And the police chief in Old Orchard, again, a woman, a DEI hire, very proud of hiring. They celebrated hiring their first black officer. They didn't mention that he's an illegal alien. Bill Belusian broke this on at Fox News yesterday, and it's just incredible. Let me get the details of their report. Maine Wire has a lot of details as well, but he was arrested by ICE. Here's who they're blaming. They're blaming DHS. They're saying they did a background check, and he passed. From the Maine Wire, an attempted firearms purchase led to the arrest of a Jamaican citizen who the town of Old Orchard hired as a police officer. John Luke Evans entered the U.S. illegally in 2023, but overstayed his visa. ICE said he was due to return to Jamaica on October 1st, but never boarded his flight. The Maine Wire contacted the Old Orchard Police Department seeking information, but did not receive a return call. Police Chief Elise, they attempted to contact Police Chief Elise Chord, but her administrative assistant denied receiving Monday's message and said she hasn't got around to it yet. Chief Chord posted on Facebook that John Luke Evans was hired by the Old Orchard Police Department in May as a summer police officer. As part of their standard hiring practice by the town, Evans was required to complete a federal immigration and work authorization form to verify he was legally in the United States. The town reviewed multiple forms of identification, including photo ID, and submitted Evans' form to the Homeland Security. The Department of Homeland Security verified that Evans was authorized to work in the U.S. That is incredible. The form was submitted and approved May 12th. Evans would not have been permitted to work as an officer unless Homeland Security verified his status. So they're blaming Homeland Security. Apparently, he lied on his form, and he is going to be deported. His crime, attempting to buy a firearm illegally. But I can imagine there's a few people in Maine right now who are saying, you know, I think I'm going to challenge my arrest or my ticket. How can you convict someone who's arrested by an illegal alien? I really don't think that's going to fly. But that's where we are right now. The woke police chief was so happy to pin the badge on a young black man. She didn't care that he was an illegal alien from Jamaica. But that's where we are in Maine. Maine is as bad as Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut. It's going to be years before we undo the damage done by the Biden administration and by, illegal alien, the illegal alien invasion. It's a big, big problem. All right, I got so much more to get to here. I want to get to little Harry Enton, but let's do Caroline Leavitt, the wonderful Caroline Leavitt, New Hampshire's own. I love this. We need this. We need the Trump administration, the Trump team, to continue to call out the co-conspirators in the Russia hoax. It's not just Obama, Biden, Comey, Brennan, Susan Rice, Clapper. Yes, they are criminals. They broke the law to undermine the Trump administration. We've gone over it. We know it. Tulsi Gabbard has brought receipts. We're waiting for more evidence and prosecutions. But let's never forget, they could not have done this without the media. They could not have done this without the Washington Post, the New York Times, CNN. They knew. In fact, they all were leaking to these outlets because they knew they were invested just like they were in undermining Trump. They knew they would run with anything that they were fed that would make Trump look bad. They didn't care if it was verified. They didn't care if it was completely made up, as evidenced by 3 years of the Russia hoax. Adam Schiff, obviously, the man is scum. Obviously, he lied every day for 3 years, but so did the Washington Post. So did the New York Times. And Caroline Leavitt, in front of the media, in the press room yesterday, called them out. She must do this every day because they are as guilty as Comey or Clapper or Brennan or Rice or Hillary Clinton. Here's Caroline yesterday.
The president said yesterday that Obama committed treason. Do you or the White House believe that the Supreme Court's immunity decision protects Obama from prosecution?
Look, I can speak to the president's feelings on this matter. He spoke to all of you yesterday in the Oval Office, but I also spoke to him about this morning. And he wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable. And it's been 10 years of this. And I would just add, based on everything the director has said and declassified, all of you in this room should go through it and take a look at this report and review the intelligence, because unfortunately that hasn't happened. And many of the people who perpetuated this hoax, Clapper, Andy McCabe, James Comey, and many others, have been hired by major networks in this room to go on television and continue to spew these lies, knowing that they are lies. And if you all recall, just flashback to 2016 and the years after, the entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party. And you had major Democrat Party officials in this city, namely Adam Schiff, Hillary Clinton, Elizabeth Warren, who went on television and told the American people Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. It was a lie. They always knew it. Hillary Clinton herself said that President Trump would be a puppet for Putin. Senator Tim Kaine at the time called President Trump Vladimir Putin's defense lawyer. Adam Schiff stated, and one of the worst things a lawmaker can do is to tell the American people, I know something you don't know, it's just classified and I can't tell you. And that's what he said. I can tell you that the case is more than that. I can't go into the particulars, but there's more than circumstantial evidence now. And not enough people in this room, not enough journalists in this country pushed Adam Schiff to say, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have? Everybody just ran with the lies, and it led to impeachments. It led to the division of our country. Unfortunately, so many Americans, from listening to outlets in this room, believed in these lies. And it's a complete scam, and it's a scandal, and the president wants to see accountability for that.
Yes, that is perfect. Naming names. Consider this. We know now that it was all a big lie. We know they knew it was a lie, and they promulgated it to undermine Trump. And it wasn't just the intelligence community. It wasn't just Obama's cabal in the White House. It was the media. And how were they rewarded after 3, 4, 5 years of lying? The media won awards. They won Pulitzers. They got deals. They got contracts. They got books. They made money. And the intelligence guys, they got jobs in the media. They hired Brennan. They hired Comey. They hired Andy McCabe, who was on last night analyzing the shooting in New York. This guy is an absolute scum. He lied over and over again. He tried to undermine. He tried to stop Trump. He tried to undermine the Trump administration in the first term. And he's rewarded with a job. I'm not sure what he makes, but I'm sure it's a lot, to go on TV. A guy who has just been caught. He's a known liar, a proven liar. He lost a job when he was leaking things illegally to the media, and the media turns around and hires him. It is a huge scandal, and that is a big part of it. All right. Yesterday was a good day, though, for the Trump administration, because you know what happened? As we talked about, they signed this deal with the UK, trade deal. It was called the best trade deal ever, and it sure looks like it. It favors the U.S. Everyone in Europe was was whining and complaining and saying it was a complete capitulation. Macron called it a submission. All the analysts said, we gave everything. Trump gave nothing. As we talked about, Axios was very upset because the U.S. won, and the media in America hates when the U.S. wins, especially when Donald Trump is the president. Even on CNN, MSNBC, even all, they had to admit Trump won, and he won big, and it drives them crazy. And they don't know what to do next. It didn't. The tariff war, which began on Liberation Day in early April, they were praying for recession. They were praying for inflation. They were hoping it would be a disaster. It wasn't. It didn't lead to inflation. The stock market is at record highs, and we got a better deal than we had before. That's the bottom line. That is really easy for American people to understand. We got a better deal for America, for American companies, for American workers than we had before. And we're going to continue to get better deals with every country. He's going to keep knocking down these deals in the next few days, and they're all going to be better than the old deals. Get Bill Maher. Bill Maher is obviously, I used to hate him, but now he has his moments. He's anti-woke. He's anti, girls and boys and girls sports, that kind of thing. He's still a hardcore liberal. He still doesn't like Trump, even though he had dinner with him. He might be the only honest liberal out there. This is what every media member who, they're all liberal, they're all Democrats. They should all be doing this. They should be saying, I was wrong. I thought these tariffs were going to blow up on Trump and cause inflation and hurt the country. They have not. They have been a tool to renegotiate, and the new deals are all better than the old deals. Here's Bill Maher admitting he was wrong. Go ahead.
Tariffs. Now, I remember along with probably most people, was saying at the beginning, by the 4th of July, somebody had to think how the economy was going to be tanked by then. And I was kind of like, well, that seems right to me, but that didn't happen. Now, it could happen tomorrow. I'm just saying that's reality. So let's work first from the reality of that, not from I just hate Donald Trump. Because that's boring and doesn't get us anywhere and leads you to dishonesty. Because the truth is, I don't know what his strategy is. But look, the stock market is at record highs. I know not everybody lives by the stock market, but I also drive around. I don't see a country in a depression at all. I see people out there just living their lives. And I would have thought, and I got to own it, that these tariffs were going to fucking sink this economy by this time, and they didn't.
And he was wrong, and everybody was wrong. Chuck Schumer went on the Senate floor and attacked Trump, criticized Trump for the deal with the EU yesterday. I'm not sure how you do that. I'm not sure what the problem is when everybody in Europe and in the United States admits it's a really good deal for this country, but they hate it. And it's fun to watch. That's any honest Democrat, and we don't have many of those, would have to admit it's working. It's working, and it's going to continue to work. But let's get to the craziest, dumbest controversy I think I've ever seen. The Sydney Sweeney has good genes controversy. This is amazing. This is 2-3 years after Bud Light. And I pointed this out this morning on Twitter. If Bud Light hired Sydney Sweeney instead of Dylan Mulvaney, if that Scheidenheimer lady from that Harvard, that woke, weird lady who thought Dylan Mulvaney would be a good spokesman for Bud Light, because, Bud Light was just about frat boys and raunchy humor. So she went with Dylan Mulvaney, and it led to the biggest boycott, the biggest collapse of a brand in American history. Bud Light still hasn't recovered. It will never recover because one woke lady decided to go with a transgender guy in a bathtub. Well, American Eagle is not going to make that mistake. They came out with an ad for their jeans starring Sydney Sweeney, and I'll just say it is a great ad. Can we play the ad? Because this is such a smart, effective ad, and you could tell the people who put this together, who hired her and made this ad with the slogan, "She has good genes," you could tell that they didn't give a damn how it would play on TikTok or what the New York Times or MSNBC would say about it. They were trying to sell jeans, and it's working. They're selling jeans because the ad is great. And Sydney Sweeney was the perfect choice for that because she has good genes. Obviously, she's a very good-looking woman, and just watching her buckle up her jeans get your attention. Can we play the ad?
I'm grabbing it now. I just have Psycho's reactions.
We will get to the reaction, which is just amazing. It upsets so many of these women who are just jealous. They're sitting there with their some of them are obese, some with their nose rings, and they're so upset because they look at Sydney Sweeney and they think, I'll never be that. And I saw this and knew it would upset some people, but I didn't really understand why. I didn't see the Nazi angle, but we'll get to that. Here's the ad.
Genes are passed down from parents to offspring, often determining traits like hair color, personality, and even eye color. My genes are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes.
Sydney Sweeney has great genes. Jeans, it says on the screen. And she smiles, and there's a longer version, and it's a great ad, and it's working, getting a lot of free publicity. And, it's upsetting all the right people. You don't want to make an ad that makes these people happy. They're demanding a boycott of American Eagle, and you're wondering why. And I was too. I'm saying, what's offensive about it? We have an ad with a beautiful woman wearing jeans, saying she has good genes, which she obviously does. Both kinds of jeans, the GENES ones and the pants. But here's some of the people. And if you aren't watching along, if you're just listening, let me just tell you, these women look exactly like you'd expect. Here's the first one, this hideously homely woman with all kind of tattoos, glasses, and just a sour look on her face.
They all look like they sell lattes.
Yeah, and they look like they could never fit into the same jeans as Sydney Sweeney. But I didn't see this coming. I really didn't. But they want you to know, Sydney Sweeney extolling her genes, her good genes, is Nazi stuff. Go ahead.
They're complaining about that Sydney Sweeney jeans ad, so I went and saw it.
That's Nazi propaganda. Wow. I will be the friend that's too woke because those Sydney Sweeney American Eagle ads are weird. Like fascist.
Nazi stuff. Because she talks about her genes, it's Nazi stuff, it's eugenics. It's amazing that if that were Dylan Mulvaney or whatever, Leah Thomas snuggling into his jeans, they would think it's wonderful. And it is, to me, it's the best example we've seen that the country is healing, that we're no longer going to try to sell that woke crap that they did 4 years ago, where they put transgender guys on the cover of Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue, or obese, or whatever they call horizontally challenged models on the cover of Sports Illustrated that didn't have obese women in Nike commercials attempting to do yoga. Now they have Scotty Scheffler with his little son on the green. They have learned that it's about appealing to the masses, and people weren't really feeling it when Dylan Mulvaney was in the bathtub. We have another one. Yeah, they're all over TikTok. Here's another one of Sydney Sweeney's critics. Oh, good luck with the boycott. I think you know what? They're going to sell 1 million of these. This was a great move by American Legal. I believe they're already just kicking ass with this campaign ad, and good for Sydney Sweeney. They're donating, by the way, the proceeds to, I believe, a domestic violence program. So they got that going for them too. They want you to boycott, so the domestic violence hotline doesn't make any money. All right, before we got 2 quick things. Let's get to these 2 quick things, Ironhead. I want to do Ed Markey, my absolute embarrassment of a junior senator. He's now turned into TikTok, singing songs. This is a problem for the Democrat Party. A 79-year-old moron, which is what he is, who's been in public office his entire life, like 50 years. He's been feeding at the public trough. He's never had a real job, at least not since he drove an ice cream truck when he was a kid. That's his last real job. I don't even know what he's trying to sell here, but they put a video together where he does a little dance. Again, I think we have to ask the question, is his wife like Jill Biden? Is she an elder abuser, allowing him to humiliate himself like that? But this is what he does on a daily basis. He humiliates himself and the voters of Massachusetts. Check this out.
My name's Pink and I'm really glad to meet you. You're recommended to me by some people. Hey, is this illegal? Hey, it feels illegal.
All right, I don't even know, what is he selling? U.S. What are they saying? What is he selling? I just can't understand why the young men have abandoned the Democrat Party. You put this old fool, this fossil out there to do a little TikTok dance.
That's some sort of TikTok trend, and I don't fully understand it.
I'm not sure. He doesn't either, though. He's so dumb. He has no idea what he's doing. They just told him, put on some lipstick and makeup, which he's wearing, and do a little TikTok dance. What an embarrassment. All right, before we go, we saved the best for last because this is the most embarrassing clip I think I've ever seen. The WNBA, which nobody watches unless Caitlin Clark is playing, had a moment, had an incident on the court. And I've been watching basketball for 50 years. I've never seen this. This is a first. A WNBA player loses her wig. I didn't know women, 25, 30-year-old women wore wigs. I guess I'm naive. I didn't understand. But they do. Apparently, they wear wigs. And she lost her wig in the middle of her play, grabbed it, and ran off the court. Go ahead.
I got to keep the sound off. We get flagged.
Oh, okay. She loses her wig, immediately grabs it, picks it up, and runs to the locker room like she just, broke her arm or something. And you can see her in the video trying to put it back on. Again, I'm naive. I didn't know young women wore wigs. And the best part, some fan heckled her, and they ejected the guy, kicked him out for heckling a player who lost her wig. But the good news, there it is again, where just grabs it and runs. Doesn't even tell the coach or anything. She thinks no one's going to notice. Maybe it's a setup. Maybe they want to get people to watch the WNBA without Caitlin Clark, and they can tell us, you never know what's going to happen if you do it into the WNBA.
I mean, that should have been a tech, right? That's running off the court.
What if she wasn't wearing it? Does she have hair? Is she bald? I mean, she seems to have some hair there. Wouldn't it make sense to not wear it, like when you play?
Yeah, but that's right there is a perfect example of the difference between men and women's sports.
Yeah, I mean, men go bald, and they're probably guys with weaves or wigs or toupees, but I've never seen that in a basketball game. But that's a first, and it's I guess it's the state of the WNBA. They need Caitlin. She's got to be on the court, or nobody's watching, unless someone loses a wig. But all right, that will do it for today. This crazy Tuesday, July 29th. Trump's heading back to the U.S. after his golf trip, according to the Boston Globe. He went on a golf trip and just happened to ink the biggest trade deal in U.S. history, between rounds. But good for him. What a week. What a great week. And it's only Tuesday. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
That some folks don't seem to care who you voted for. Well, guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. Well, let me say this as clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll